Hi, welcome back. We're glad you could join us here tonight. Again, we're talking about sports in Central Kentucky. And again, sports covers a lot of things. We've been talking about the importance of sports and growing up in the area, and Coach Minor Harmon and some of his experiences in coaching and outside of coaching as well. People have all different aspects of what's going on. But right now, what we're primarily going to focus on for the next 2 or 3 weeks anyway is we've got high school basketball going on in this area, and it's both boys and girls, and we've been covering that quite a bit. And that's one of the things that I guess you would say, is our expertise right now, because that's what we've been looking at and spending our time doing, either on the radio or going to ball games or covering it in some other ways. And now, Coach, right now we've got a couple teams that are still undefeated in the district, and a few other teams that are still struggling. They're still fighting, but right now we've got 5 teams in the district, and that's something I think that it's a little change this year. Well, this past 2 years with the addition of Thomas Nelson. And if you could explain a little bit how the district even works, how they get into the tournament a little bit.
Well, you've got a situation now with Thomas Nelson in the district that you've got a 5-team district, and of course the district seeding is based on the district competition during the regular season and 1-loss record. And the best scenario is to have the best record, which would be the number 1 seed. And the worst scenario for coaches and teams would be the 4th and 5th seed. And in this particular situation, if by chance you haven't done very well during the regular season against district competition, and you have the worst record, you'd be the 5th seed. And if you got the next worst record, it'd be the 4th seed. And because of the odd number, the 4th and 5th seed is what coaches refer to as a play-in game. And on the girls' side and the boys' side both, well, that would be the first night of district competition, that play-in game. And the winner of that game, I'm sure, feel good about the victory. But they look forward to playing the number 1 seed. And there's a reason they're the number 1 seed. They're usually the most talented, most experienced team. And so that 4th and 5th seed has a very difficult task. The winner of this to play the number 1 seed. The 2nd and 3rd seeds, pretty obvious. The next best record to the number 1 seed would be the 2 seed, and then the one after that, in between the 4 and the 2 seed, would be the 3rd seed. And usually your 2nd and 3rd seeds are fairly competitive games. And as you get into tournament play, obviously the district, the winner and runner-up advance to region play. But with the 5th edition of Thomas Nelson, that's why we've got that play-in game. And when you talk to coaches during the regular season, they always emphasize if this and if that, but you never hear any of them talk about wanting to be in that 4th and 5th seed, because usually if the 4th and 5th seed, it's been a very tough season for them.
Well, in high school basketball, well, it's like in all basketball. That's one of the things I love about basketball. I argue with my son all the time about sports. He's a big football fan. I like football as well, but basketball, to me, you watch the progression of it. I always break it down into 3 seasons. The first part prior to Christmas usually is, I always consider it sort of like a preseason, when teams are sort of getting the feel of each other, or getting the feel of themselves and coming together. And then you got from January till about tournament time, when teams are really sort of just getting down to the nitty-gritty and playing district games, regular season games, and then there's tournament time. And I know I've heard you say this many, many times. This is when you get the itch to get out of that broadcast booth and get back down on the coaching, because that's the one and done time. That's when it really, hate to say it really matters, but that's when you've worked all season long to get to the tournament. Whether it's district, region, state, getting to the tournament is a epitome of what most teams are going for. And you want to do well in the tournaments, obviously, because if you don't do well, you're going home.
Well, the thing about district competition or regional competition is that I've always said that I enjoy that time of the year, and I think you have to embrace that time of the year. And I think your kids will pick up on the way you view the end of the season. And basically what you're trying to do throughout the year is develop your team individually as a group. You want them to play to their strengths and hide their weaknesses. And some people don't like for you to talk about teams' weaknesses or individuals' weaknesses, but that's the only way you can improve is if you know what you do best and don't work on your weaknesses, well, you won't get better individually or as a team. And so I always look forward to the end of the year, because by that time, hopefully, the kids, barring injuries or attitude or health problems, you're in a situation where the entire group is moving forward and looking forward to postseason play. And the last 2 or 3 weeks of the regular season, of course, this year is a little difficult because of the weather, and that's kind of played havoc with some of the teams as far as how they progress and how well they're doing individually and as a group. But that last 2 or 3 weeks, you're getting prepared for the district tournament, And if you're in a situation where you're a number 1 seed or a number 2 seed, or if it's a very competitive district where even the 3rd and the 4th seed are pretty competitive, you've always got that chance in district play that anything can happen, because I've always said the games aren't played on paper, they're played on the court, and sometimes teams that have done extremely well or fairly competitive during the regular season, if they mentally don't approach the district in a very positive manner, in a manner in which they know that anyone can beat them, why sometimes a 2nd or 3rd seed will slip in there on a given night when maybe the shots don't fall, or you get foul problems, or if someone sprains an ankle in the early district game, why that always kind of puts you in a situation where maybe things don't work out for you. But I really like the postseason. I like the district tournament, because I think that's when individuals and team, and they all come together. And that phrase I used for so many years, there's no I in team. The really good teams understand that. The really good teams look forward towards postseason play.
Well, let's look specifically at some teams right now. Obviously, leading the in District 19 right now, Bardstown seems to be the team to beat. They've got the speed, got some size, and they'll do well in the region. On the girls' side, that's on the boys' side. On the girls' side, right now, Nelson County Lady Cardinals seem to be in the driver's seat. But of course, they've got a difficult situation. The last 2 years, Nelson County Lady Cards seem to be doing pretty well. But guess who always was waiting for them in region time? Of course, the Marion County Lady Knights, and they've had a fantastic season over there the last few years. And this year, the number 1 team in the state of Kentucky on the girls' side is the Elizabethtown Lady Panthers. So I don't think they can get a break. I mean, Nelson County having decent teams over the last couple of years, but it's tough. It's tough getting through the district, but it's also tough getting through the region. So I know Bardstown Tigers, again, we know they'll be looking pretty good, but they've still got a tough road ahead of them.
Well, Coach Brewer's done an excellent job since he's returned to Bardstown High, and he has some good athletes over there. He preaches defense, and they really do a nice job on the defensive end of the court. And this year they're playing very competitively this year. He's played a very tough schedule. Some of his losses have been to some of the top 4 or 5 teams in the state, like Scott County or Trinity. He's undefeated in district competition, and he may not want me to say this, but he'll be the team to beat in the 19th district. Thomas Nelson, it's kind of been up and down, but they do have some good perimeter players that can put points on the board quickly, and they could be a team that on a given night could beat you. And of course, you got the veteran coach Artie Braden at Bethlehem, who just last Friday showed Thomas Nelson that don't forget about the Bethlehem Eagles with a big win on Bethlehem's home floor. Nelson County boys and Washington County have struggled. They've had their moments, particularly Nelson County early in the season, seemed to have some games where they were competitive, but they've been competitive throughout the year, but they just quite haven't got over the hump, and they're in that 4th and 5th slot, respectively, Nelson and Washington. So if I were picking someone in the 19th district, I would pick Bardstown. As far as the 5th region, gosh, E-Town's having a solid year. Taylor County got some outstanding players. You've got John Harden, who's been very competitive over the last few years, and it's going to be on Marion County's home floor, and Marion County may have an opportunity to have something to say about that, because usually when you have the region on your home floor and you're a fairly competitive team, and Marion has showed this year they can be fairly competitive, and if the 3-point shots are falling for the Knights, well, they could be a very competitive team. But right now, I like Bardstown, E-Town, and Taylor is on the boys' side of it. You're looking at the girls. Unfortunately for this region, it's always been a tough region girls-wise, and this year once again, E-Town Lady Panthers are ranked number 1 in the state, and they're going to be a team that in district and region competition be very hard to deal with. After them, you're looking at LaRue County. LaRue was solid last year, got the regional finals. I'm sure they're going to build on that, and with an opportunity to maybe sneak in there this year. They've already beaten E-Town, but I learned a long time ago, don't get caught up in what happens in the regular season between teams that's in the top 3 or 4, because you may beat somebody during the regular season and they turn around and beat you in the district or region play. So, and then there's some other girls teams. The Nelson County Lady Cards have had a pretty good year. And out of the 17th district, it's always pretty tough. John Harden, North Harden, they're 2 teams that's very capable. But if you were to ask me, I'd say it's E-Town Lady Panthers and maybe the LaRue County Lady Hawks. But when postseason comes, anything can happen. But those are the teams right now that seem to kind of stand out.
And as you mentioned earlier, obviously the district is going to be this year, well, the region is going to be this year for the boys, is going to be in Marion County, and the girls region, I believe, is going to be in Nelson County this year. And then when a District 19 is going to be at Bethlehem High School. And they rotate that around every year as far as within the district, is within the 5 district schools. And then region, I think they picked I think there's about 4 or 5 on the rotating schedule. The biggest gymnasiums in the area. We've traveled to Greene County and Hart County and Marion County. We've been all over to visit some of these. But this year the girls will be in Nelson County and the boys will be at Marion County. And that's one of the things we alluded to earlier about the fans. Fans do have responsibilities in a way. You know, if you're going to support a team, we'd love to see you come out and join us at the gymnasiums. I know athletic directors, not only athletic directors, but the players themselves love to play to a packed house. And there's something about playing to only a few people that just sort of, I don't know, just takes a little of the air out of the game. We've been to some games before where it's almost as quiet as a church in a way, and then you go to some games where it's so raucous that even you stay keyed up for 2 days after you leave.
Well, that's true, and you mentioned the Roby Dome over there at Marion County, and I'll bring this up. I don't know if Sis Roby will watch this show or not, but you never know what's going to happen in postseason. And when Coach Barnes and I were coaching the girls in '83 and '84, Marion County had an exceptionally good team. They were undefeated going into district play, and unfortunately for Sis Roby and her team, they came down with the flu. Several of her kids were sick, several of her starters, and they got upset in district play first round, and that opened it up for the entire region. And we were fortunate enough to sneak in there and be playing well at that particular time, and won the region. And but I'll be the first one to say, if Coach Roby's team hadn't come down with the flu, why certainly they would have been the team to beat. But so you never know in postseason, illness and injury. 2 of my better teams on the boys' side were 92 and 93, and they were very good teams. And we played in all the big tournaments in the state and had a very successful season back to back. Unfortunately for me, it was Marion County's time, and Anthony Epps and Elton Scott and those guys over at Marion County that went on in '93 to win the state championship. So you can have some outstanding teams, but sometimes illness comes into play, sometimes injuries, and sometimes you have the misfortune to have an outstanding team when someone else in the region has just a little bit better team. And so I've seen both sides of it, but that's why coaches are always concerned and always talking about injuries and illness and if this and if that. And but I really look forward to the postseason play. And you're exactly right. The fans in this region usually have been pretty good about following their teams, and coaches will be the first ones to tell you that when there's a few more people in the stands, a little more noise, some bands in the stand, that kind of gets the juices flowing and a little bit more fire in their belly, as I say, and they'll come out and play with a little more intensity, a little more passion. And so postseason play, there's a lot of good things about it, and that's why I always look forward to that particular time of the year.
Well, like I said, that's one of the things that's really, I think, really indicative of this part of the state, because I know when we go to do games in the Roby Dome or in Washington County, either one, they always have a really good fan base in both of those places, so we always enjoy going, but at the same time, we're in for a loud crowd that night because they support their teams. They do a great job. So and again, the players play off that as well. So again, we're looking forward to a great district tournament coming up and region tournament and the state tournament. We've been to the state tournament a few times down at Bowling Green and Diddle Arena for the girls, and then the boys region or the state tournament this year being Rupp Arena, and we've been up there a couple times as well, obviously with many of our teams in this area. So we have up and down years, and that's the thing about high school basketball. You have one team that's really doing well one year, and the next year they're hanging on for dear life. Then next year or so they're coming up and down again. And I know you've been through this several times, Coach. As far as you never know what team you're going to have coming out when you're dealing again with a 17, 18-year-old students, because again that you're depending. I know I've heard you say this a dozen times. You'll draw up a play, and when you watch it out on the court, and it doesn't look anything like the play that you drew up, because we talk about sometimes we'll say there's the 30 seconds left in the game, so they're going to hold the ball at the last second, and somebody will come down, throw up a half-court shot. You know the coach is getting a gray hair on that one.
Well, that's the thing about high school sports, and I've always said that when you're coaching 16, 17, 18-year-old kids in short shorts, why sometimes you don't know what's going to happen. And I say short shorts, longer shorts now, but I can remember the days when they weren't that long. But sometimes what you draw from the sidelines or what you worked on in practice sometimes doesn't carry over to the floor. So that's part of coaching. That's part of dealing with it, and that's why you always like to see teams that if you're coaching have 2 or 3 seniors that's in that lineup that's been through the wars with you and understand what you want, either from your practice sessions or the game situations. And when it's all said and done, and I learned a long time ago, one of the equalizers in athletics is talent. Sometimes you coach the hardest and put in more time when your team is a little bit more inexperienced, not quite as talented. And when you have talent and they have a passion to play and they're willing to compete and they're willing to put their best foot forward as a group, not only individually but as a group, well then you've got an opportunity to be successful. But make no bones about it, Garnis Martin always had a great comment. To me, he always told me, the late Garnis Martin, he would say, you know, the thing about coaching, there's 2 types of coaches. Coaches that can coach talent and coaches that can't coach talent. Because one thing for certain, if you don't have any talent, you're not going to win very many games.
Well, I appreciate you being here, Coach, and we do appreciate you tuning in, letting us be a part of your evening here on Channel 6. And we have Sports Focus here on this evening, and we appreciate you tuning in and listening to us, and we're going to be coming back and trying to keep you as entertained as possible and educated as possible. And come on out to a game. We'd love to see you. So for Coach Minor Harmon, my guest tonight, appreciate him being here. This is Kenny Fogle saying, so long, everybody. We'll see you next time on Sports Focus. Take care, everybody.